field. Listen. As a subculture, anti-masking amplifies the anti-establishment currents pervasive in U.S. political culture. Data literacy, for anti-maskers, exemplifies distinctly American ideals of intellectual self-reliance, which historically take the form of rejecting experts and other elites. The counter-visualizations that they produce and circulate not only challenge scientific consensus, but they also assert the value of independence in a society they believe promotes an overall de-skilling and dumbing down of the population for the sake of more effective social control. As they see it, to counter-visualize is to engage in an act of resistance against the stifling influence of central government, big business, and liberal academia. Moreover, their simultaneous appropriation of scientific rhetoric and rejection of scientific authority also reflects long-standing strategies of Christian fundamentalists in seeking to challenge the secularist threat of evolutionary biology. These groups diverge from scientific orthodoxy if they are using the same data. We have identified a few sleights of hand. For instance, they argue that there is an outsized emphasis on deaths versus cases. Another point of contention is that of lived experience. In many of these cases, users do not themselves know a person who has experienced COVID. Most fundamentally, the groups we studied believe that science is a process, not an institution. So those are their sleights of hand, supposedly. It's a sleight of hand to say that the experts on TV are making a mistake to emphasize the deaths or the cases. They think it's a sleight of hand that nobody in the groups know anyone who has COVID. They think it's a sleight of hand to believe that science is a process and not an institution. I disagree that those are sleights of hand. I continue reading. These individuals believe that as we have outlined in the case study, these groups mistrust the scientific establishment because they believe that the institution has been corrupted by profit motives and politics. Yeah, I'd say it has. For anti-maskers, valid science must be a process they can critically engage for themselves in an unmediated way. Increased doubt, not consensus, is the marker of scientific certitude. Arguing that anti-maskers simply need more scientific literacy is to characterize their approach as uninformed and inexplicably extreme. This study shows the opposite. Users in these communities are deeply invested in forms of critique and knowledge production that they recognize as markers of scientific expertise. If anything, anti-mask science has extended the traditional tools of data analysis by taking up the theoretical mantle of recent critical studies of visualization. Anti-mask approaches acknowledge the subjectivity of how data sets are constructed, attempt to reconcile the data with lived experience, and these groups seek to make the process of understanding data as transparent as possible in order to challenge the powers that be. Again, I'm astonished that they are positioning this as a